Good afternoon there, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome all of you back to another Rage video where... There we go, and there we go. So, I welcome all of you back to another Rage video where today, ladies and gentlemen, on this beautiful, picturesque Sunday afternoon, we are going to be moving on to the second song on Rush's Moving Pictures, Red Barchetta. Now, I don't really gonna have like much to say about it because I kind of just want to like get straight into it. But the only thing I will have to say is that, considering I spent nearly 40 whole minutes, nearly an hour talking about Tom Sawyer, it may surprise quite a lot of you to maybe a surprise to know is that while I don't think I have quite as much to say about Red Barchetta, I'll tell you what, I'll explain afterwards. So, let's get started. So, if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. Red Barchetta in 3, 2, 1, and...
no one knows about. He says it used to be a farm before the motor law. And on Sundays I illuminate the eyes of the turbine frame. Too far outside the wire where my white-haired uncle waits. As the turbo slows to cross the borderline, run like the wind as excitement shivers up and down my spine. So down in his barn, my uncle preserved for me an old machine for 50 odd years to keep it as new has been his dearest dream. I strip away the old debris. It's a shining car, 8 billion red Barchetta from a better vanished time. We'll fire up the whirling engine, responding with a roar. Tires spitting gravel like a myth, my weekly cry. across the mountainside. A gleaming alloy aircar shoots towards me, 2 lanes wide. I spin around with shrinking tires to run the deadly race. Go screaming through the valley as another joins the chase. Run like the wind, straining the limits of machine and man. Laughing out loud with fear and hope, I've got a desperate plan. At the 1-lane bridge, I leave the giant stranded at the riverside. Race back to the farm to dream with my uncle at the fireside.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was Red Barchetta by Rush, and it's, don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, it's a really good song on its own, but it's curiously enough, I think it's a bit like a little bit like straight to the point, if that makes sense. The idea is that it was inspired by a 1973 short story by, I believe it was Richard Foster. Let me just yeah, that's true. So it's like based on a short story about a distant future in which, like, I'd imagine like all cars are like electric, or they're powered by hydroelectricity or something like that, and the only thing that like seems like aware is this guy who has an uncle who owns this beautiful Ferrari red Barchetta from the 1950s, and the Barchetta itself. I'll leave a picture in the description down below to show you guys exactly what the Barchetta looks like, because I think it's a very beautiful car. Don't get me wrong about that, because back in the day I used to be like a giant petrol head myself until I actually learned how to start driving. But the song is good, don't get me wrong. Okay, let me just point out the really good stuff about all this. I kind of really like the idea that the attention they give to like certain sights and like senses. You get stuff like, and on Sundays I elude the eyes, and hop the turbine fright, jump to the ground, run like the wind. There's quite a lot of idea of like senses and a lot of adjectives like used in here, which really sort of like gives the song a great sense of like pace. There's like a bit of there's like action happening in the story, and then you get this we fire up the willing engine, responding with a roar. Tires spinning, gravel, I commit my weekly crime. Wind in my I do kind of like the fact I like the fact there's action and there's something to get along. There's quite a lot to be invested about, and I don't get me, and Alex's little guitar solo is really, really good. I like the fact the song does like, it picks up a bit of steam towards like the 4-minute mark, and the chase they suddenly have is really kind of like is kind of interesting, because it takes us through like mountainsides, it takes us through like valleys. It's a very interesting like spectacle, but it's one that's a little bit hard to like determine with music, because I don't know if they could have made something a bit more dramatic, if it was like there was the idea of a crash, or if something like that was going to happen. And then it ends with basically he's driving his way back because he's lost those 2 air cars, and now he's driving it back to his uncle's fireside, back to his garage beside the old farm. So it's a really good little story about a guy who just who commits a crime. His only crime is to seek excitement and to be one with this beautiful little red Ferrari. Aside from that, I don't really want to say it's a bad song, but the problem is that it's a little bit too simplistic. And what I mean by that is that it tells a good story, and the music is sort of like, it's kind of what you expect from like a Rush song that tries to tell a story. It's only that they do liven parts up a bit, but this is kind of like one of those very few times where it's sort of like told straight, which is a kind of like a very interesting change from Tom Sawyer, because Tom Sawyer was full of like little ambiguous ideas about what makes a modern day Tom Sawyer. Red Barchetta is just sort of one of those little stories it's a nice little ambitious story, but it's kind of, it does almost what it says on its tin, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a bit like, there you go. It's sort of more about how you might anticipate, or how would you feel if you were in basically the ride of your life. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong about that, but it's just kind of, that's where it is, and that's all that really needs to be said about it. Which, again, that's very, very surprising, because the rest of this album, because I think there's like only 7 songs on this album. I just have to check. Yeah, there are. Which, again, is kind of strange, because there are only 7 songs on this album, and Red Barchetta is honestly the only song I'm pretty sure is like the weakest out of them. And even by Rush standards, that's still quite something. It's the only real, like, it's sadly, ironically, Red Barchetta is only the real sort of like little bump in the road on Moving Pictures. Because everything else on this album is, in my opinion, close to perfect. And I'll explain why in the next song. So hopefully you won't have to wait too long for that. So I hope all of you guys have enjoyed this reaction video. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of Red Barchetta for yourselves. You know, considering, you know, gas prices and all that nowadays, I'm not even sure if you could even drive a little tiny little red Ferrari out as much as once in a blue moon. Anyway, hope all of you guys have enjoyed that. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below, and I will look forward to seeing all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now. And Mr. Pert, let me just say again, may the sands of time run for you forever.